Hey y'all, welcome to Life with Hia. I am in the car rider line right now, waiting to pick up my youngest. He's in first grade, and I did not want to drive him this school year. But sometimes as a parent, you have to do what you have to do. You have to make sacrifices and pivot and change things around to make things work. Unfortunately, he ran into bullying on the school bus, both his pre-K and kindergarten years. Now, when I was in pre-K, we rode a little short bus. It was 4 and 5-year-olds and a bus aide, and, it was just, I guess, well-funded back then. But these days, in our particular school district, the pre-K students ride with the big kids. So he's on a school bus with, K through 5th, his preschool year. And I thought, well, no big deal. I knew he sat in the front of the bus, and the bus driver assured me that, hey, the younger ones sit in the front of the bus. But, that particular school year, there was an older child that would say things to him on the way back to his seat, or he would sit behind my son. And, one day he walked past him and said, I'm gonna eat your off. Literally, that's what he said. Now, my son didn't know what a was. He knew what a penis was. So if the boy had said, I'm gonna eat your penis off, then he probably would have been like horrified, but he did not know what that meant. And I ended up hearing about it from the bus driver. She heard it. And, she apologized. She said that she would reach out to the school to make sure that the school is aware, to get this child some help, and to make sure that, hey, this doesn't happen again. I was a little appalled by that, but that was fixed. And I'm like, okay, things do happen. You can't control, who your kids are around all day and the people they're going to encounter at school. So fast forward to kindergarten, and he's still sitting, in the front, but more so like the third or fourth seat, and there was a girl on the bus bullying him. And I didn't initially know that this was happening, but, he, I guess, worked up the courage to say something. He literally said he didn't think that anybody would believe him. And that's so sad to think, because we're very open with him. He talks to me and my husband a whole lot about everything. Like, he runs his mouth and he loves to talk. So I was really shocked when he didn't tell me. And also the fact that he said he was afraid to tell me. I did not expect that, from him. But anyways, he was telling me this girl was saying things about the color of his skin and just all these awful things. She would call him stupid and just name calling. And of course, he's in kindergarten. He cannot verbally compete with somebody who's in 4th or 5th grade. He can't articulate the way he would have needed to defend himself and to shut her down. So I end up asking him questions about this child, and then I realized she lives right in the subdivision that I live in. She doesn't live far from my house. So I knew how to reach out to her mother. We're all in a Facebook group within the community where we could talk to one another and communicate. So I reach out to the mom on Facebook, hit her up right on Messenger, and tell her, hey, here's my number. Please call me. Your daughter has been bullying my son. So she called me immediately, not even 2 or 3 minutes later. She's crying. She's upset. And she said, I'm so sorry this has happened. I can't believe my daughter would be bullying your son. He's so little. But of course it was happening. So she was like, can I come over right now with my daughter? I want to get to the bottom of this. I want her to apologize in person. So of course I'm open to that. So the mom, pulled up within like 10-15 minutes, and she was trying to coax her daughter out of the car. And I saw this on my cameras when they pulled up. She was very reluctant to get out of the car, this child, which I don't blame her. She's coming into a house where she doesn't know what is going to be said. Her mom and her older sister was with her. The older sister had to be like in her early 20s. I guess the mom brought her for moral support. But, they literally had to threaten her to get her to come into my house. So she comes in. I mean, she's coming in with an attitude. You could just see it that she is just, So, the mom asks her what happened. And she's like, nothing, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what you're talking about. So then, I speak to start, let my son, say what happened. And of course, the child is like, she is denying everything. The mom is like, well, I can't believe this is the situation because she herself has been a victim of bullying. This little girl was overweight, and I'm assuming she was picked on for her weight. She was also mixed race, so I was really surprised that she was saying something about the color of my son's skin. She was light skinned. It looked like she was mixed race with black, but I was really shocked to know that she was talking about my son's skin color. Anyway, longer story short, the mom said, this is not going to happen again. If it happens again, I will go with you to the principal's office, and she will not be going on her 5th grade field trip. I think they were going to Six Flags or something. So, that was good enough for me. She apologized. And from there, the child was very respectful. Anytime she would pass by my house, my son had no issues with her anymore. As a matter of fact, he said she was nice and his friend. And I had to correct him on that. I said, she is not your friend. She's behaving like she needs to behave in order to stay out of trouble and to be able to go on her class trip. Maybe she did learn a lesson, but I had to explain to him, just because somebody's suddenly being nice to you doesn't mean that they are a friend of yours. So although that was the end of the bullying in her, I still felt some kind of way because that was 2 years in a row, and I didn't want him to go to school a 3rd year and deal with bullying. I needed a break. He needed a break from all that. And for him to understand, hey, we had some talks along the way. Next year, you want to ride the bus, which he really does want to ride the bus. I don't mind it, but I want him to be able to take up for himself, and be able to stand up and say, hey, this is not okay. And so let me know from day one so that me and his dad can fix it. But that's just my little talk for today. I would say check in with your kids if you don't, just to make sure they're not a victim of school bus bullying. I feel like it's just out of control. And also make sure your child isn't the bully. I always make sure that my son knows, like, how you were treated by this girl is not okay. You can't go to school and treat others the way that she treated you. And that's another reason why I wanted him to that's another reason why I pulled him off the bus. I wanted him to understand, like, this is not appropriate, and this is not the type of behavior I wanted him to mirror. He's young, he's impressionable, and I took this year to just reset. So next year he will be back on the school bus, and hopefully things go well. If not, I will be right back to driving him. It is what it is. It's just what I have to do. So just wanted to tell that little piece as I'm in a car ride along thinking about this. I hope you're having an amazing day. I will see y'all next time, and make sure you're giving yourself some grace, because others may or may not. Treat yourself well. Have a good day. Bye.